Hello and welcome to The Messy Middle. It's your favorite podcast that covers the intersection of law, politics, the world of work, tech, with some fun and pop culture mixed in. That's right, fun and pop culture. And I've got some friends with me today. I've got my chief of staff, Mindy Hepberger. How you doing today, Mindy?
I'm doing well, Blake.
Oh, you sound excited.
I'm very excited.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Are you excited because we have a new co-host with us for
I
today?
am. I love having Danielle.
Yes. We also have our assistant producer, Danielle Sanofsky. How you doing today?
I'm feeling great, Blake.
How are you feeling about your debut on the Messy Middle? Like across Gen Z, we are like one of the top podcasts that covers the very specific world of law, tech, the world of work, politics, with some fun and pop culture mixed in. We're number 4 with Gen Z on that. Did you know that?
Is that a new stat that came out?
Yes,
okay.
I literally just
I
made
did
it
not
up.
know that.
Yeah, so Danielle is sitting in here for our producer, Mike, today. Do you feel like, what a chance, scale of 1 to 10, what are the odds that you become a permanent replacement for Mike on this
1
podcast?
through 10?
Yes.
It should be 11 at this
It's
point.
pretty high.
11,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And what are the qualities of yourself you think that makes you such a good replacement for Mike?
I think I have a sense of fashion that he does not.
Oh, yes. Well, that's true.
Yes.
I mean, indisputable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I have a face for camera. He has a face for radio.
Oh.
Yes. So.
Wow. Wow. Shots fired right out the top. It's a bad beat for Mike. Unfortunately, Mike, and it's also true for our listeners, Mike is your boss. Is that right?
He is my boss, yes.
He's your boss. And he'll be joining us later on for when we go to the grab bag. Is that correct?
I guess so.
Did you know that?
Yikes.
Yes. Yeah, Mike will be joining us later in the pod, but tough beat for Mike off the top.
We have permission to punch up here. Too.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. Feel free to take shots at well, actually, don't take shots at me. I have very
You never. Him always.
I have
Don't worry.
very fragile ego.
I know.
Yes. So we are here today. We have an amazing guest with us. We have Juan Lavista Ferres, who is the chief data scientist at Microsoft. He is the director of the AI Lab for Good. Sounds very impressive. He's also involved with the AI Economic Institute. Great guest. He's going to tell us all about a bunch of stuff relating to AI for good. Back to that in a second. In the grab bag today, Danielle, that's why you're here as our petty crimes correspondent. We're going to be doing the grab bag, of course, is at the end of the show after we have our interview. That's where we really get into the fun and pop culture part, and you're going to be bringing the fun today for us, yes?
Of course, always.
LinkedIn Court, where we're going to be presenting potential petty crimes at the workplace that people see, little etiquette flaws. And Mindy, I, and Mike are going to weigh in on whether or not it's a LinkedIn petty crime or not. You, as our petty crime correspondent, going to set it up in the grab bag. You excited for that?
I'm very excited for this segment.
But before that, AI for Good. We're going to have the head of AI for Good Lab on. My question for you, do either of you use AI for good currently? How do you use AI for good, Mindy?
I mean, what's your definition of good?
What is my definition of good?
I think it's
evil?
not for bad.
Okay, not for bad.
Not for bad.
Okay.
So it might
Yeah.
be selfishly good. So I tend to use it for a lot of travel,
Okay.
finding good restaurants.
I feel like we can do...
That's for good. Good restaurants you want to eat.
I mean,
Maybe.
I feel like that's okay. It's like AI for okay,
Yeah.
AI for fine.
Health, but my own
Health.
personal health. So I'm not sure that.
That's good.
I mean, yeah. We'll talk to Juan about what he sees or,
Yeah, he's going to be
how we
he's
can
gonna
use
give us
AI for
more,
good in the
like,
healthcare industry.
You feel like maybe Juan was going to know a little bit more than
Little
you and me
bit,
about
just a little bit.
whether or not how we use AI for good. How about you? You using AI for good currently, Daniela?
For good, I'm not sure about good, but I know we used Microsoft Copilot before.
Yes.
For,
we being who? You and me?
you and
or-
I, yes.
Yes. Okay.
And we found an amazing speakeasy in DC.
This is true.
So I
This
think
is
that was
true.
for good.
It was okay. I mean, if you like this is true. We used Copilot as for a recommendation for a place to get an after work drink with some colleagues, and it did end up. It was at the bottom of a pizza shop, and it mostly had the vibes and smell of the YMCA pool.
Correct.
So, it wasn't great.
Well, I hope the one I found for tomorrow night in Chicago will be better. Than
Did
that.
you use Copilot?
I
Microsoft
did.
Copilot?
can't remember what
Might
model
have
I
been
used,
Gemini.
but-
All right. Well, that's all good. So you used AI for okay. For myself, I don't really use AI for good too much. I use it for okay. I use it. I used to help me brain scam. Brain scam. It helps me brain scam. No, it helps me brainstorm ideas for the pod. Some questions for Juan. I guess that's AI for okay. I've used it to create little character figures. We have a little make people happy around the office, and we make a little furry monster video. Well, actually, I guess more picture. I mean, is that making any sense? I feel like we need to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, yes, I think we are ready to really get to somebody who's going to know a little bit more about AI for good, because I feel like Daniela and Mindy and I need some help. We need to step it up here a bit. But when we talk about AI for good, we talk to Juan. Look, when it comes to some people, they're like, yes, I believe AI can be there for good. AI can step up and solve the world's healthcare crisis. It can create productivity. It can solve climate change, all of these great things. Other people, hey, I'm on the AI for bad camp. I think it's the Terminator. I think it's going to destroy jobs. I am worried about it. The truth, probably somewhere in the messy middle. We got to talk to our friend Juan, who's the director of the AI for Good lab, to help us sort it out. Moving over to Juan right now. Juan Lavista, welcome to the Messy Middle. A pleasure to have you on, my friend. How you doing today?
Thank you, Blake. Pleasure to be here. I'm doing fine. There is we almost have sun here in Redmond, so we're fine. So.
Oh, well, that's unusual for Redmond, but we'll take it. So for you, as you know, this is a LinkedIn podcast. I know you're a big LinkedIn fan. We always like to start by walking a little bit through career journeys with folks. And for you, I'm going to go back to the turn of last century, late 20th century. We've got a young man in Uruguay who is there into computer science. Well, first of all, actually, before we start, you're going to notice, and Mindy and Danielle will know that, as we go on, and you have a beautiful Latin American accent, I am likely going to start talking like you at some point during this interview. There's going to be a mirroring effect. I'm going to sound like Pedro Pascal as Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. Yeah,
Pedro is from Chile. I'm from Uruguay. Our accents are very, very different.
No, I'm going to do it wrong. Is the point. So get ready for that to happen. But as we go, we orient ourselves to the late 20th century in Uruguay, a young man who's interested in computer science. What was it like for you in that space at that time?
So I grew up in a farm. So I grew up near a town called Jung, that is young, but we call it Jung because we basically Spanish pronunciation of young. I grew up in a farm. My parents had the amazing vision, and I was very lucky that my parents gave me a computer. It was it was called TK90 TK90X.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Brazilian clone, likely not authorized, from the Sinclair Spectrum. It was a 48 kilobyte computer. This was like a very small computer. The Sinclair Spectrum was a British computer, was very famous at that point. And you basically you get that computer, you turn it on, you have to connect it to your TV.
To your TV?
Yeah, exactly. You connect it to the TV and you connect it to a record, like a cassette recording to load games.
Uh-huh.
But when you buy it out of the box, the only thing that does do is just open a basic terminal, like a basic language terminal.
Uh-huh.
So you either need to learn how to program or you could not use the computer. So that forced me to learn how to code. That was a great experience. Eventually, I decided to start studying computer science. And in 2001, I moved to Washington, D.C. I wanted to study in the U.S., but at that point, my way to study in the U.S., I got an internship in the Inter-American Development Bank. That is like the World Bank, but mainly focused in Latin America. And I moved to Washington, D.C. at that point. And basically, start working. At that point, I started working continue working with data. My job was
so
working.
when you move to the United States, so you're like you grow up, you're in South America, in Uruguay, you're interested in computer science. You then moved to the United States, and since then, obviously, developed quite a career in computer science. You're a very fancy, exciting person, chief data scientist, all of that. One question I had was, are you seen as like hometown hero when you go back? Are people excited, or is it a little bit like, oh, you think you're better than us? Why did you leave? What is going on there?
No. I think basically like you're the same person that you were when you left. I don't see a lot of changes from that perspective. It's your hometown, correct?
Yeah.
There's a term in Spanish that nobody's hero. There's no heroes in your own hometown. That happens there, right? So yeah.
So everybody, you're still Juan.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Okay, so let's pick it back up. You're in. You go to the United States, interdevelopment bank. What's the path there to like the fancy person you are now at Microsoft?
So I wanted to study in the US. So in parallel to start working for the IDB, I started doing a master's in AI. At that point, it was called machine learning data science, but it was basically like what we would call today AI. And at Johns Hopkins, and I was like, when I finished my master's there, I was like, I never thought that the IDB was my dream job. I was working on the IDB because that was my way to get to the US. Interesting enough, I started working with economists. My job was to support economists on their data problems, right? So I was working for an organization within the IDB that their job is to measure the impact of the projects, developing projects. So I started understanding causality. I started understanding data. So even though that was not my dream job, even though was not my plan was to go to the IDB so I could study, what was interesting is that a lot of the skills that I learned that later on I use in life came from those 4 years at the IDB because I needed to go and learn how to work with data to support economists.
I'm going to fast forward a bit through to the AI for Good lab because you go at Microsoft, you do all of the amazing Juan Lavista magic, you move your way up the corporate ladder. And then you become the sort of director of the AI for Good lab, chief data scientist. Let's talk about the AI for Good lab. What is the AI for Good lab? What exactly do you guys do? I mean, what is up with that?
So my dream when I worked in the IDB, I always had the dream to say eventually I will work to use AI and data science to help the world. Like I was working with projects in Latin America. It's like I actually saw firsthand the lack of the use of technology to help people. I always had that dream. And at one point, we were working at the central data science team in Microsoft. And my manager at that point had lost a child to SIDS. SIDS is sudden infant syndrome. This is the main cause of death for children between 1 month and 1 year old. And he was trying to raise awareness. And in order for him to raise awareness, he was organizing these hikes. And because if you went in a hiking, you could use that time as a way for Microsoft to donate to Seattle Children's Hospital. So it was an amazing way for him to raise awareness and raise money. I talked to him like, hey, I love the idea of trying to help on SIDS. I want to help you, but I'm not a hiker. Can we actually talk to the Seattle Children's Hospital to see if we could help them on the weekends with what we are doing? So he liked the idea. He called the people from Seattle Children. We talked to them. The Seattle Children people tell us, hey, can you work can you help us on the data side? So we go ahead and we download the CDC has an amazing data set that has every single child that is born in the US and a cohort of those that died. It's an amazing open data set. A lot of these people that were working on SIDS didn't have the skills to even use that data set. So we start working with that data and we show the results to them. And majority of the things that we found on the data, the researchers knew. But some of the things that we found, the researchers didn't know. And that's when that meeting was like, that was an aha moment to me. It was like, yes, we could help these people a lot. Eventually, we show it to Brad and Satya. They love the idea. And that was kind of like, then Brad decides to say, hey, we're going to open up and do an AI for Good lab here.
And this is
When
Brad
you-
Smith, the president of Microsoft.
Brad Smith. Yes. And that was basically like kind of the beginning of my career as an AI for Good. The AI for Good lab is a philanthropic effort that Microsoft has. We partner with organizations around the world, and we use our skills. We are not experts. We're not experts in seeds. We're not experts in forest fires. We are not experts in deforestation. Our expertise is AI and data science. We partner with experts and we help them solve the problems. So the philanthropic effort is, every big organization has some philanthropic effort. We decided that there was more return of investment for society, that instead of donating the money, we would donate our skills. That's basically what the Food Lab is.
Daniela was interested because she was looking at some of your stuff, and she was wanted to ask you a question, like many folks.
I know you have a vast portfolio of stuff, and Earth Day's coming up. We're talking about Earth Day plans, and I would love to hear more about Sparrow, what you're doing for that.
Yeah, so Sparrow is one of my favorite projects, and so we work a lot with the biodiversity. It's even from the beginning of the lab, even Microsoft, before the lab was a lab, there were projects, people in Microsoft, particularly people in Microsoft Research, that were working already with biodiversity. The cool thing about biodiversity is that getting data is much easier, because usually giraffe and monkeys don't have lawyers. So from that perspective, data sharing agreements and with biodiversity is usually much easier because there's no humans in place. So that makes it very easy. It's also a place where there's not a lot of commercial opportunities, so there's not enough technology. So you can help these organizations a lot. For many years, over 6 years, we work a lot in building AI models to help. Let's say you have like pictures of giraffe or pictures of monkeys, and you like majority of the data that gets collected for biodiversity come from two sources: camera traps, that is like a camera that runs, like they put in the wild. This camera, whenever they see movement, takes a picture. And biodiversity recording, that is similar, but it's just recording a lot of like every single sound, correct?
Mm-hmm.
These are the two main sources. So for many years, we spent time helping people that would collect a lot of the data in pictures. Like you would get like 1,000 pictures. Majority of those pictures were just movements of like something that moved, that camera trap took a picture. So basically we spent a lot of effort doing that. 2 years ago, I was invited to a conference by a good friend of mine who has been working with us for many years. And in that conference, it was a biodiversity conference. And talking to the biodiversity experts, it became really clear to me that our solutions were amazing, but were not the main problem they had. It was taking them for collecting data. Sometimes they had to hike for days to put the camera trap in the middle of the jungle. And then 3 weeks after that, come back and change the memory cards and change the batteries. And it was not only dangerous for them, it was actually like quite time consuming. It was like a big effort to say. And I told us, like, I think we can help solve this problem. And I said, well, please help us. So for a year, we worked to design Sparrow. Sparrow stands for Solar Power Acoustic Remote Recording Observation Watch.
Good branding, though. Sparrow. It's very, very, very important.
Sparrow is a very small computer that has a very small GPU that runs on the edge. It has a solar panel. It connects. It's like acts as a hub in the middle of nature. It connects to cameras. It connects to acoustic devices. It processes the information in that small GPUs and sends the results back using a satellite uplink. The cool thing about Sparrow is that you install it once, and then once it's installed, these people can connect online and check the information directly. So from that perspective, it's a very powerful solution for them, because you no longer need to wait for weeks to get the data. Some of the horror stories they would tell is like they would go to the middle of the Amazon, put these cameras, and then a monkey would come next day, take the camera out, and then they will wait for 3 weeks, go to the jungle, spend 3 weeks in the jungle, get back, put the memory card, and realize that there was not a single picture.
So if the monkey takes your memory card, you want to know right away. And Sparrow,
exactly. No, it's very important. By the way, that's a true story. Monkeys actually like to play with something that doesn't look like that looks like plastic, so that they are quite ingenious to remove camera traps from the middle of the jungle.
I like to play with things that are plastic as well. So, because I'm descended from monkeys, not to be controversial on the podcast. Anyway, go on.
So anyway, that whole technology, that is Sparrow. And now we have deployed in South America, we have deployed in Africa, we are in the process of deploying in Oceania, we have it in North America. We actually have it near maybe 2-3 hours. We have this, one of the last condor reserves in North America is near Silicon Valley. We have it there. So, and the plan is to make it very easy for biodiversity experts to collect data. That's basically what we do.
So Daniela, now, I would expect that. So Daniela here is a member of Gen Z, proud member of Gen Z. So, like many, but particularly sometimes a little skeptical of corporations that do things "quote unquote" for good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what do we think? Sparrow, does that sound actually for good? Or how are we doing here?
I think it sounds actually for good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Even selling on to Gen Z, you can get behind this.
I think it sounds actually for good.
Right,
I actually would love to know if there is a particular image that you've seen that stuck out to you since this project started.
We have a lot of images. Every day I get all the alerts by email. Let me see if I can actually show you one, because that will help you.
That'd be good.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, any monkey shots?
I don't think I have a monkey shot, but let me see what else I have. So this is actually 2 hours. I don't think. Hopefully you can see. Where is the camera?
It's okay. It's close enough. But why don't you describe it? Oh, okay. So, but it's most people listen. So why don't you describe for our listeners what it looks like?
That is mountain lion.
Yes, mountain lion.
Mountain lion, and that picture is taken 2 hours from Silicon Valley. So try to see what else we have.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So this is one guy that took one of the cameras out. That's a big bear.
The thief.
You're showing a big brown bear. That's
the last picture of that camera. Was that.
But it managed to transmit it before the bear went after it.
Because the cameras are not. The Sparrow is in a very kind of safe location. The cameras connect through Sparrow via Wi-Fi.
Oh,
so
cool.
the camera was down, Sparrow wasn't down.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Redundancy.
We have redundancy.
Wow. Mindy, what else? You had some thoughts about for good as well.
I did. I mean, I think there are endless use cases for in the healthcare field. So I was wondering if there are any particular projects that you're super excited about and where you think it can have immediate impact for good.
It has an amazing impact. It has a lot more potential than what we are seeing today. One of my favorite projects, one that I actually I work in that project as an individual contributor, is something called retinopathy of prematurity. Retinopathy of prematurity is the leading cause of blindness in children around the world. It's a disease that didn't exist a few decades ago in the world, and now suddenly we are seeing a huge increase. This Stevie Wonder is blind because of retinopathy of prematurity. The reason why it didn't exist before, and one of the reasons why it was like an aha moment for me, is because ROP, this disease, affects very small premature babies that before they didn't have a chance to survive because they weren't. Oh. Now, thanks to improvements in health and healthcare, more and more of these babies are surviving. And because of that, the challenge for that is that these very small premature babies are not ready to live in the planet yet. So the retinas are not fully developed. And some of them will develop this disease, ROP. If you don't treat ROP in 24 to 48 hours, that baby is going to be blind forever. The challenge the world has is that every single one of these babies that is born prematurely needs to be screened for ROP. The challenge the world has is that we only have 200,000 ophthalmologists in the world, from which only 10,000 are pediatric ophthalmologists. So even if you do magic and you distribute it perfectly around the world, there's not enough doctors to diagnose, and they work 24/7. There's not enough doctors to diagnose this disease. And this disease is just going to get worse, and because more and more of these countries are going to improve health and healthcare.
Yep, let's hope.
More and more of these babies are going to survive. That is great news. But we're going to have, if we don't have a solution, we're going to have more and more of these babies be blind forever. So we work with amazing doctors. These are doctors from Argentina, from Colombia, from Mexico that dedicated their life to make sure that this doesn't happen, because they have seen every week they see some baby that is blind because of this. These are of pediatric ophthalmologists, and we're basically working with them. Like, can we actually have a way for do early diagnostics of the disease? We build the models that run on a smartphone that use a lens. So it's very cheap for any doctor around the world to do. And these models are doing as good as a very good ophthalmologist. We publish this in JAMA, that is a very good medical journal. And eventually we will have, like right now, this is still in research. That's one of the, there's a very good reason for this, but one of the biggest challenges of using AI in the medical world is because of there's a lot of regulation for all good reasons, right? So we want to make sure that we understand that there's a very good reason for regulation, but makes it very hard for some of the solutions to see the light of day. And so we continue to work to make sure that these researchers eventually can use this in production.
So do you think healthcare, or what do you think is the area that people are underestimating the sort of good impact that AI might have right now? Is it healthcare? Is that, would we put that number one?
Definitely, I think healthcare would be number one, because I think that we live in a world of 8 billion people where 4 billion people do not have access to doctors. And we have many more of those. Like, from the 4 billion people that do not have access to medical doctors, a significant portion of them actually have access to the internet and a device, correct? So and it's not that we're going to eventually find a way to mint medical doctors in rural areas in the world. That's not going to happen, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that's a place where it's not going to replace the doctors, correct? We have to be clear there. It's going to help answer questions and help diagnostics and try to reduce the amount of, like, try to make sure that the doctors are being used for treating the most difficult cases or the cases that you need a doctor, right? So if you can help that funnel, that can make a huge impact.
So I'm going to ask you a question now that probably nobody really knows the answer to yet, but I'm going to ask you one.
Yes.
So right now, I think public perception in the United States is not particularly popular towards AI at the moment, right? There's a lot of concerns. When you ask people, there's concerns about a whole bunch of things. Does AI right now have more of a PR problem or a substance problem? Because, like, is it that people just don't know or are not appreciating some of the positive things that are going to happen in AI, biodiversity, all these other things, or is it a mix? Or, like, what's your take on that one?
I think it's a bit of a mix. I think it's normal. Like, as humans, we don't like. There are two things that I think happens, correct? As humans, we don't like change.
No.
Like, change is something that...
Don't move my cheese, Juan.
Yeah, change is something that we don't like, correct? Like, and we are also usually focused on more the negative aspects, correct? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and likely that come from an evolution. Like, our ancestors, the one that were more focused on good news,
Right?
likely those didn't make it, right? So
Right.
there is an evolutionary part where we typically focus on the bad news, and likely there's a good reason for that. But, like,
Right.
we
It's
want to make sure
like 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, they don't want to eat things, right? The same sort of thing.
So when you look at the history, a lot of the things that we saw in early general purpose technology is very similar. So early days of electricity, correct? So there was a lot of people, including people that actually helped create electricity, that were very much against electricity because it was dangerous, correct?
Yep.
There was a whole thing about the famous AC/DC wars. AC/DC is not the rock band, but the rock band name come from that. AC is alternating current, DC is direct current. AC is what you have in a house. DC is what you have in the remote control. AC can kill you, correct? So if
I don't know. It can?
Yeah, AC can kill you.
Like, is this one of the, is this clickbait? Your electrical outlet is going, something in your house is going to kill you.
Yeah,
News at 11.
Interesting enough, US has 110 volts versus, like, South America, especially Uruguay, has 220. Europe has 220. 220 can kill you much more than 110. I think developing 110 is more expensive. That's why a lot of countries decided.
Are you taking shots at Europe? Is that what's going on here?
I'm not taking shots in Europe.
Okay.
But long story short, when you look at some of the early discussions that happened in the electricity, it was very similar. Like, people were afraid. It was clearly changed. It will change the way of work. If you look and the same happened in many ways with the PC. The same happened with the internet in many ways. When you look at all of these technologies, there was usually a pushback from society.
Yep.
And there's a big improvements. When you look at all the metrics from life expectancy at birth, child mortality, people living in under the level of poverty, every single one of these metrics have been improving for the last 200 years. Majority of that improvement comes from technology, correct? And come from technology that at one point people were very afraid, and people were afraid of the change. I think it's very normal. It's normal to see people push back to technology. I'm not saying I see general purpose technologies by definition are multipliers, which means that you can use it for good, you can use it for bad, and you can be more productive in both spaces. I think we as a society need to make sure that we maximize the uses of good of this society for society, and reduce the bad uses of technology. So I'm always optimistic about the use of technology, because people will usually gravitate towards the good uses of technology. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have bad uses. We are already doing that. We are already seeing people using AI for fraud. We are already seeing deep fakes. We are already seeing disinformation. Yes, it is part of this, but majority of the good use cases will be good for good, because majority of the humans want something good for society.
Well suited to the job then. I mean, if you were like, I really don't believe in human nature, I think people are generally bad, you probably wouldn't be a good fit for the head of the AI for good lab.
That is true.
That's true. But
that is true.
Actually, interestingly, you have another job. You don't just have the one. You also lead the AI Economic Institute for Microsoft. And that, my understanding, is all looking at the impact that AI is going to have on economies, et cetera, and looking a lot on skilling. I've heard you talk about the things that people from a global scale are not really thinking about when they talk about AI adoption and AI skilling and accelerating that change. There's a whole set of things that people aren't thinking about if you look at it from a global perspective, that if you look at the stack of what needs to be done. It'd be great for you to let our listeners know a little bit about that.
Yes, when we think about general purpose technology, something that it becomes really clear from history is that what matters in this general purpose technology is the diffusion of technology. And when we say diffusion, is basically people using technology. The majority of the impact for society on these technologies is about people using that technology, correct?
Yep.
It wasn't about the factory, like the electric companies that build the electricity. Like, it was about the people using the electricity. It was people about using the PCs. It was people about using the internet.
That's what brings the growth.
Exactly.
Even if we're not all feeling better, our lives are by a whole bunch of objective standards better.
Yeah. So when we thought about the AI Economic Institute, we said, like, okay, if diffusion matters, what are the drivers of the diffusion? And one of the things that we realized early on is, like, okay, in order for, like, AI sits on top or 2 to 3 other general purpose technology, the first one being electricity, correct?
Uh-huh.
It's like, in order to use AI, you need electricity.
Yep.
You need to have a computer. You need to actually have the internet. You need to have connectivity. For majority of, like, not all AI requires the internet, but a significant portion of it. That's why 2 to 3, at least 2 to 3 general purpose technologies are required. When we look at about AI diffusion, one of the things that becomes very early in the data is, first, with the diffusion of this technology is happening very fast. Right now, more than 1.2 billion users in the world are using generative AI. In 3 years, that's faster than a social network. That's faster than TikTok. That's faster than a smartphone, faster than... So every single technology that we have seen, the generative AI diffusion is happening much faster. And you're comparing this with technology that, like social networks, that have a virality in them.
Yes, inherently.
In the case of like Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude, they don't necessarily have virality. Virality happens from human to human. So that's actually quite amazing.
Yeah.
But we clearly see that some countries are doing way better than other countries. Part of the AI Economic Institute is to understand what are the drivers. Why, for example, Singapore and UAE are doing so way better than countries like the US or even a lot of European countries. We are also observing a global South and global North divide. Like, for every AI user we have in the global South, we have 2 in the global North already.
And
that-
how
and
much
that
of
can-
that is due to the things you were talking about before from the infrastructure side about like access to electricity, access to a computer, access to the internet?
A significant portion is happening because of that. You have also countries that do not have access to AI because AI doesn't speak the language. Like when you look at about generative AI, that's another component that we are observing is that, for example, if we are in Malawi, 95% of the population in Malawi do not speak English. They speak Chichewa. A significant portion speaks Chichewa. LLMs do not work in Chichewa. Correct? Why? Because majority of the internet is in English, and so we know that for a fact that it's relatively easy to train a model in English or Spanish or French or Mandarin because there's a significant portion of the web that is written in those languages. If you happen to be born in a country where your language is not one language that is very broad used in the internet, you have a problem. You have a disadvantage. Unfortunately, also, majority of those countries that speak languages like Chichewa are in the global south, which is interesting by itself. Majority of the people that do not have electricity are like all of the people that do not have access to electricity are in the global south. You have 800 million people that do not have electricity in the world. A significant portion of that are in Sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
Correct? So yes, these components, if you don't have then you need to actually have access to the internet. Then you need to have access to a PC or to a smartphone. All of these usually correlate with GDP. That explains that global north versus global south. And we see today that already that division between the countries that have higher GDP also have higher AI usage.
So one of the things that you've talked about and written about, et cetera, is sort of the unintended consequence of the moral risk that comes from AI systems because they operate at scale. So the things that you're talking about here, like with respect to access, the foundational things with respect to access to electricity, and or even more importantly, language, right? There's going to be consequences for the world at large that so much of generative AI is trained on English and some other language and not a language that's spoken in Malawi, right? So how do you, as somebody who's like doing AI for good, you're the for good guy, how do you think about the unintended consequences, and how do we think about this when there can be unintended moral consequences, even if nobody's doing anything deliberately when you apply it at scale?
Well, we saw that in the PC era and the internet where you have a digital divide, correct? So today it's going to be difficult to, like a lot of jobs require you to have very good skills with a computer and access to the internet. We have to remember that we still have a significant, like billions of people that in the world do not have access to this technology. And so we have that digital divide. When we look at AI, the productivity that we can gain from AI is a superpower, correct? So the fact that that division between those haves and have-nots can become even more exacerbated, right? So if you have countries that are using AI versus another country that are not using AI, you will start seeing a difference in productivity for these countries, and that's a challenge. Well, what we're doing from AI for good perspective, one of the challenges that we want to address is make it easy for these countries to train models in their own language. So we have we did a project, one effort called Lingua, where we are giving grants to countries or organizations to make it easy for them to train language models in their language. The cool thing about language models is that, for example, building a translator before LLMs was doable, but it was really relatively difficult and required a significant amount of data. One of the things that we're seeing with technologies like LLMs now is that translation becomes much easier, require less data. Some of these languages can learn from content in a different language, which is actually quite cool. It doesn't solve the low resource language problem, but it helps. So that's why we are deciding to invest in Lingua. That is our effort on helping low resource language communities. I think, let me tell you, I'm also optimistic.
Yeah.
I think this is a product that in the next decade, I think majority of the people on the planet will have access to AI in their own language. I think this is a solvable problem. So I'm optimistic on that side. But even a few years of delta, that can make a difference between those who have and have nots. So we're still worried about that. We are already seeing some of that changes. So
So we've talked about AI and applications. 2026 is the year of the World Cup. So I'm going to ask a very important question for you, which is, can you give us a preview of how you think Uruguay is going to do in the World Cup? Have you been in touch with the national team at all about their training and helping them for AI models or elsewhere?
No, I have
Like,
not.
are we gonna repeat the? Is it called the Maracanazo? How do you pronounce the
Maracana. Well, I wish. I'm again, as an optimistic person, I can tell you that. But I would say, I don't know. Like, if we can, I'm optimistic but realistic at the same time.
Okay.
I think that if we can pass the first round, I will be very happy.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I don't think Uruguay is going to play in Seattle. At least I've looked at all the things. So I don't think we will see them playing here in Seattle. But I wish we can get, I don't know, to quarterfinals, maybe semifinals. If we can get to semifinals, we got to semifinals in South Africa in the World Cup, and I was extremely happy.
Yeah.
Doing that, I'm very hopeful about Uruguay. We just we end up 1-1 against England. That wasn't a great match last week.
Yeah.
It was not for the World Cup, but was for the some of the games that they played before the World Cup.
Yep.
But I'm hopeful.
So, I mean, Uruguay did shock the world in 1950, right? Won the World Cup. They won earlier. And again, I think it's called the Maracanazo, right? Or
the Maracanazo.
The Maracanazo.
We beat Brazil in Brazil in the, yeah.
Is that like the central cultural event in Uruguay, even if it's like almost 100 years later now?
Yes, and that generates a problem because we still believe in that, and we still remember that, even though nobody can remember that by now. My grandfather was alive. My grandfather died now, but he was alive when that happened. My dad, I think, was 1 year old. My mom was 1 year old.
Yeah.
But majority of people that are alive today in Uruguay were not alive when that happened, but we still remember that, I would say.
Yes, remember that. Okay, so the last thing, something we always do on the pod here, is we do a section we call Enough About You, Let's Talk About Me. So here's your chance to give feedback on LinkedIn, ask me, Daniela, Mindy questions. You get to turn the tables on us. And enough about you, Juan. Let's talk about me or LinkedIn.
Let's talk about the World Cup. Are you going to follow U.S.? What are your teams for the World Cup? Let me be more open.
The number one, Uruguay. Because, like, again, I've always been
You're on the record on this one. So that's Uruguay. So then the US, I assume?
Yes. Well, then the US. I mean, yes. I'm a noted patriot. So, yes, I am. But, I would say I may be even a little less optimistic than you are about the US's team chances than I am for our own version of the Maracanazo.
No, I think the US will be fine. I think I don't think they of course I think the chance of getting winning the World Cup is very small, I would say, for Uruguay and the US.
Okay.
But I think that they will likely make it to the hopefully they might actually make it to the quarterfinals. We'll see.
So for the record, you have not been, you are not in contact with the national team doing running Moneyball data analysis.
No, I wish, but no, I wish. Interesting enough, this
that would be for good. That would be for good.
That would be for good. And more and more, I was actually talking to a person the other day, more and more AI and data science is being applied to sports, correct? Like, this is something that is very American, like in the sense that people here in the US use a lot of data, particularly for basketball, for baseball. There was a lot more data collection happening than any other country. But now a lot of people are using that data to make decisions, which is very interesting. So,
yes. Yeah. I mean, look, AI is everywhere, even in sports.
Yes.
But again, we need to use it for good. But with that, I will say thank you very much. Now, guys, did I mirror Juan's beautiful accent, or not so much? What did I do?
A little bit at the beginning.
A little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, a little bit at the beginning. Yeah.
How obvious was it, Juan?
Amazing accent.
Oh,
Amazing
yeah,
accent.
there
Don't
we
tell
go.
him that. Don't tell him
exactly.
that.
Don't encourage
we don't
me.
want to encourage.
No.
No,
Yeah,
nobody
this
wants to
seems sad.
encourage me. It's terrible. Well, Juan, thank you for being such a great guest, for educating us about all the great work that your team's doing and making us just a little bit smarter. In general, for being like, an amazing international man of mystery and friend. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for the three of you. We had a great time here. So thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thanks, Juan. All right, welcome to the Grab Bag, that part of the pod after the interview where we dig into the fun and pop culture side of the pod. Today, an exciting new segment for you guys, LinkedIn Court, where we will be digging in on some of those possible, potential crimes, petty crimes, if you will, at the workplace, all about workplace etiquette. We've heard from you, our listeners. You want to know, how do I deal with all these little slights and things that could be happening at work? Is it a crime? Is it good? Is it bad? Do I know? Well, we're here to find out. With us today, we have Daniela, our petty crimes correspondent. How you doing, Daniela?
Doing great, Blake.
Are you here? So you are, of course, as we've established, a member of Gen Z.
Yes.
Are you, in fact, the voice of your generation?
Some would say so, yes.
Some would say so. And your generation, we have Mindy and I, voices of a different generation.
Yes.
Who have experience in the workplace. And you are going to surface things from LinkedIn, those questions about, is it allowed? Should I do it? Should I not do it at work? And bring it to this esteemed panel of judges, myself and Mindy, and also Mike, to find out whether or not something is, in fact, a LinkedIn petty crime. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's
you
get
gonna
into
present
it.
The cases?
I am.
Let's go.
All right. Case one.
Case one.
The case of the stinky fish.
The case of the stinky fish. I've got it right here. Oh, boy. And I've got the wrong one. Petty crime. Okay, here we go. I'm reading it. Every workplace eventually has one. The microwave fish situation. You know the one. Someone brings fish for lunch. They place it in the microwave. And this goes on for quite some time. Can we tell employees they can't microwave fish? That is the key question. Is microwaving fish at work a worked-in petty crime or not? Our listener here from LinkedIn says, not every workplace issue needs a policy. Discuss.
It's a crime in my book.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I just can't. I mean, I don't know if you can make a rule to not do it.
Why couldn't you make a rule to not do it?
I don't know.
Does it depend on the fish?
It depends on the fish, yes.
It does.
Maybe that's all the person can eat. I don't know.
Oh.
Right?
Yes.
But in my book, it is definitely a petty crime. I mean, we have some coworkers who don't even allow you to eat at your desk.
That's true.
Much less fish.
Yes, they're trying to enforce that. Mike?
Yes.
I'm very anti-microwaving fish at the office. I might be kind of anti-microwaving anything at the office, but for sure with fish, it's common courtesy. The same people I have found who will not only microwave fish in the office also lack the decency. They would like eat it in one of those enclosed phone booths.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not even a crime. That's a felony. So I'm very anti this.
Especially on a hot day.
Okay.
Yes.
As the voice of your generation, does Gen Z agree on this?
I think Gen Z would agree that fish shouldn't even be in the office. I don't think they should have the option to even microwave the fish.
So you're like just, but that feels
Then
like,
you bring up a good point that some people can only eat fish.
who are these people can only eat fish? I
don't know.
Pescatarians.
Like, I mean,
Someone will say
well,
that.
no, they can eat
eat
other
other
things
things.
besides fish. There's tofu. Tofu is not
I
meat.
think ban fish in the office entirely.
Ban fish. So we have consensus. Fish. Crime. Petty crime.
Petty crime.
All right. Next.
Case two.
Case two.
We talk about decorum at the office. So I think it's been lost a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So the next case we're going to present is honestly the stinky feet.
Oh, the case of the stinky feet. This is brought to us by Ariana Huffington.
Yeah.
Noted LinkedIn influencer. Taking
Wow.
off your shoes when entering someone's home is becoming more common. But does the trend belong at the office? In the New York Times, Laura Kelly reports that the practice is spreading in tech offices, especially startups. One employee said the office no shoes policy, quote, makes it feel like a second home. What about you? Would you support a no shoes policy in your office? Mike.
very against it.
You're against shoes in the office?
No, I'm very against you taking your shoes off in the office. Yes, I would go as far as to say ever.
Okay.
You give an inch, they'll take a mile, because then it's, what if you have socks on? Then what if you're going your bare feet? I don't care how bad the dogs are barking. You've got to keep them in the shoes.
Okay.
Tight leash.
Tight leash, yeah.
Yeah. I think it might actually be like an OSHA violation to take off your shoes in the office. Like it might be a real crime.
Legal background coming in handy.
Does it matter if you have your own office?
Yes, it actually does matter if you have your own office, because then I think you have built up the ability and seniority to just not care what people say.
Status. You're like
based on status.
Just based on status.
Based on status, you're allowed to kick them off a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, I still don't think you can go barefoot though. Barefoot's crazy in an office.
Well, what about stocking feet? Like, like
if you have your own office, I will allow, but you've got to put them on if you're leaving.
I agree.
Disagree. Don't mind socks around the office. I don't mind it.
Interesting.
I don't mind it. We have a colleague who shall remain nameless, who frequently goes around in is, as a gentleman might say, in his stocking feet. Stocking feet? Is that what we want to say?
Stocking feet, I think. Yeah.
Can one say stocking feet?
He's not stinky though.
Yes. So exactly. Challenge, check your bias here. Guys, check your bias.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I know my own limitations.
I think I have a very strong opinion about this. I
Okay.
don't even think flip-flops should be in the office. I don't want to see your toes. I don't.
Well, but you're not seeing toes if somebody's wearing socks.
What if there are no socks, though? What they did no socks
This is
too?
a New Yorker speaking, right? I mean, we're flip-flop land here in California,
true.
so we might have
I'm
a
an elitist, so
different...
that, yeah. My opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I would say that, for myself, again, I'm okay with it. I think if we're going to rule as a group, I think it sounds like a 2-to-1 at least against here, no stocking feet. But
Let's
it is 2026, man. Let's get our feet fly. Let your feet flag fly. I guess, can we say that? No, we probably can't say that on a LinkedIn podcast. But I feel like it's okay. It's what is so bad? For you, Mike, you're well, yes, if you if you're make a 6-figure salary or whatever.
It might depend on the person.
Maybe it might make someone work a little bit harder to get to the ability that they can take their clogs off at the start of a long
there
day.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Would that motivate you, Daniela? Would that as a voice, again, the voice of your generation, Gen Z? Does Gen Z, when they think about what they want, is it I really need to put in the grind so I can take my shoes off at the office?
I don't know one person that would think that, so probably not.
Tough. Okay. Right.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So I think that. So what are we ruling? Do we have a ruling here?
I'm anti stocking
It's a
feet or
petty crime.
shoes. Yes,
It's a petty
It's
crime?
very, very, very petty, though.
I file a dissent. I dissent. I'm I'm like the Elena Kagan of this of feet of socks in the office. There we go. But I do agree that no socks is a crime, because you would I certainly don't want to see anybody's hairy toes.
I agree.
That is terrible. Wait, you're considering that?
Well, I mean, you're making a persuasive argument.
Oh yeah. What about I might be pulling you around on
You might
socks
be
are okay?
pulling on that sock, but I still think it might be person dependent.
Okay,
right, and it's very tough to have.
You said stinky feet. If they're not stinky feet, if they're just regular feet,
right,
with socks,
yes,
maybe we're
maybe
we're okay.
Okay, all right. So I think you got to rule though, Mindy. This is it. We can't be here forever.
All right, no, I was sticking with my red.
Guilty.
Sorry, guilty.
All right, so tough beginning here. What we got next case here, Danielle?
Next up, we're talking about Teams meetings. What should you be doing during Teams meetings, and what should you not be doing during Teams meetings?
Okay, want to know my biggest professional pet peeves? Gum chewing during meetings. Don't get me wrong, I like to chew gum, but I don't think it's a good professional look in a business setting. Wow, this guy asked the hard questions. Apparently, when he was at Accenture, he was told, don't chew gum in front of clients or me. I don't remember his reasoning, but I remember thinking, got it, I never do that. So, gum chewing during meetings.
I have no problem with it.
No problem.
Wait, are these in-person meetings? Are they on a team? Like you said, I didn't know if it meant a team meeting or a Teams, like Microsoft
It technically
Teams
was
meeting.
a Teams meeting, but I think we should open the floor to both and see what do we think.
Because I think it might be okay in a live meeting because I'd rather have someone chew gum if it's helping their breath.
Right. Again,
Say they
But if
just
it's
microwave
on
fish.
Teams.
yeah, what we've seen is that Mindy's jurisprudence is almost completely dominated by smell. Like you figure out, like you're like the
Yeah, I mean, you gotta,
you're like the Antonin Scalia of smell in the office. It's like all that's what's going to decide it. Is it smelling enough? So if it
Right.
helps smell, then allowed in office. So you're okay with it?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too. By the way.
Yeah.
So we're all good. Oh, how about
I'm
you?
fine with it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
totally fine with it.
Wow, is that our first unanimous decision? No, the first one was unanimous as well. So
Yeah.
that was easy. Why was that so easy? Does it matter what kind of gum it is?
Oh,
No,
All gum's fine.
all
what
gum
about
is fine.
blowing bubbles with the gum
Blowing bubbles
In a meeting?
in a meeting?
Borderline, but yeah, I don't hate it. Okay.
Wow. Right. Again, we've
Blowing
cracked.
bubbles is distracting. Like, that would get a
We
comment
really have
from
cracked the
me
code
every
with
time.
Mindy on how she's going to roll.
Yeah.
But she's fine. Like, bubbles, whatever. Okay, when I'm putting in someone's hair, is that all?
No,
too much.
that's
Okay, it's too much. All right.
Clearly not lit.
Okay, excellent. We are cracking now, and we figured out how the next one is probably going to be like lack of deodorant in the office, right?
Oh, boy.
So there you go. Okay, the next one. Here we go. Oh, you set us up.
Okay. This case comes from an employee of yours.
Okay.
And it's the case of false advertising on coffee machines. And it's actually a video.
Okay. Let's
roll
the tape.
Let's look.
Roll the tape.
Good morning, friends. I've been working at this fabulous company for almost 4 years, and I come into the office most days of the week. And today I learned that from my girlfriend here, that I have been drinking decaf coffee for 4 years because our coffee machine is permanently set to decaf. I hope you have a great day.
Oh. I mean, that is a felony.
That is not petty at all.
Yeah. That I mean, like
Jail.
Death penalty.
Yeah.
That's a capital crime.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that is definitely a crime against humanity. How can you not have your caffeine?
Boy. Yeah. So execute whoever set that. It's an office crime of the highest degree.
This is quite literally the definition of like gaslighting, right? Like they're trying to tell you that you're drinking coffee and you're going to be more alert.
Does some
and they're
people
just
really know
feeling
what literally means? Like, it's not quite literally the gas.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on what the term gaslighting is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
I feel like I've told you
this
about
would
it
be
before.
a textbook example of gaslighting.
Okay. Textbook.
I think you're right.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
gonna give you that.
Yeah.
D, what do you think? Are you a coffee person? I don't even know.
Love.
Love? Okay.
Like 3 espresso shots in the morning to begin with. So if this was me, immediate jail time. Life sentence. Death sentence, maybe.
Okay, so good. Well, we've ended on a cheerful note here and a happy note, which is: do you feel like though, do you feel like you have learned something though? You also got to. I like this is great, very very much on brand for your generation. We had set this up with Mike, Mindy, and I as the judges, but you got right in and judged as well.
I did.
Yeah.
That's good. So how do you feel? Do you feel like Gen Z all across the world will be turning in, really digging in and being like, I've learned something today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
I kind of
subscribers up.
Oh, you think
Engagement up.
Engagement up.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. That's what we need. Little goose the engagement with the coffee death penalty.
Yeah. I'm really disappointed we didn't get a parking lot one though.
Yeah, I guess that might be next time.
That might be. You have to save some of those. Yeah.
Season finale.
Yeah.
Well, but we do have to say thank you to our petty crimes correspondent here, Daniela, for the voice of your generation, bringing learning and many other things to the world of work. All right, that'll do it for LinkedIn Court. Thanks very much, Juan Lavista, our guest today, director of the AI for Good Lab, and we'll see you next time here on The Messy Middle. Stay messy, people.